back. It's the Digital Bath Podcast, where four close friends talk about all things nerdy while sharing some adult beverages. Tonight we are going to be talking about the ghost of Tsushima. Am I saying that correctly?
Tsushima.
Sushi Mama.
Yeah, the ghost of Sushi Mama.
Why? Okay. Look, listen. If I can't, never mind. It's fine. We'll talk about it. The ghost of Sushi. Nope.
Try again.
One more time.
The ghost of
Third time's a charm.
Tsushima.
That
sounded great.
That was great.
Yeah.
Ghost
good
of
job, man.
Tsushima is the topic tonight. First impressions, last impressions, because your boy Platinum that shit. With me tonight, I have to my right, Dakara, as he will be known for tonight's episode. We put these names in a Japanese name generator a long time ago, and I think we should respect that tonight. So you're Dakara?
You're only going to respect me tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
He doesn't respect you after.
Yeah.
I'm not going to respect you. I just respect your name.
Okay.
Put some respect on
He
my
looked
name.
in my eyes when he said that. I didn't like it.
Also known as Angel X Death.
Yeah.
And also MC Starscream.
Yeah.
Okay. Then straight ahead we have Jesse, the smooth talking. Oh wait, how do you say it? Wait, did we put your name there right? It was
It's
just
like-
it was like Jesse.
It's like Jeshi,
Ooh.
Jeshi.
Yeah.
Jesse.
which is how my niece says my name, and she's
Oh.
4. So there
Is
you
she
go.
from feudal Japan?
Is
She's
she
not.
also
Oh.
a ghost?
You never know.
Whoa, Jesus.
Throw smoke bombs
Jesus is a
everywhere.
ghost.
That's true.
That the Holy Ghost.
That's the sequel. The Ghost of Israel.
on your gamer tag there, it's
Nick.
it's
Azrael.
Azrael Reaver.
You got it.
Are you on both systems that way?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. To my left we have the mini fridge, Nicorus.
Miku.
Niku. Oh,
Yeah.
we're just doing the short version.
Yeah, the short version because I'm short.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
Of course not.
I don't often think.
Made obvious.
Niku.
Miku.
On Xbox and PlayStation, same name?
The mini fridge.
The mini fridge.
That's it. Yep.
Like that wasn't taken?
And Switch.
Nice.
Yeah, all
All
three
three
of
of
them.
them.
What
And
about the
it's-
Neo Geo?
Oh man, that was duh mini fridge. DA. That was before. That was like when it was cool to say duh instead of the.
It was never cool.
Shut up, yes it was.
You know what isn't cool? $200 video games. Like the Neo Geo had. They were $200.
Oh, okay. I was like, is this at me? Like, do I-
No, I'm not directing that at you. I'm just you're the last person to talk.
That's more expensive than the Elite controller that both Jesse and I have.
Is it?
God, you guys paid that much for real?
$180.
Oof. Anyway, it's your boy over here, El Hyena. So let's clink, open, drink, do our thing.
Clink our dicks and start the episode.
All right.
Nope.
No,
What do we,
good for you.
What are we drinking tonight, boys?
A fancy boulevard wheat.
Delicious.
You ever have a strawberry pop, like ever?
When I was 7, yeah.
Strawberry?
So, it tastes like a strawberry pop had all the ice in it, and the ice melted, and it just completely got rid of the flavor. It's called Cape Lime.
And then they recarbonated that
yes,
shit.
and then they carbonated. Yes,
Recarbonated
Yeah,
it.
carbonated.
Alcoholic seltzers never really have that much flavor. It's part of the appeal.
The one you brought last week, I had the pineapple one in there.
Oh, those were good.
That was
Yeah.
actually pretty damn good.
With the,
I was
with the
surprised.
coconut. Yeah,
Yes.
those are real fucking good. So anyway,
Didn't have that in the budget this week.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Amazing.
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 It was really amazing.
Okay, thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been a great episode. We'll see you next week.
It was amazing. I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure you're nowhere near with the rest of us.
I mean, like when I played it an hour ago, it was amazing, and it still is.
Okay.
Amazing.
So, and I think that's a good place to start this, and I've told you guys multiple times, and most people I talk to about it, they did a terrible job of really explaining what this game was to the effect that it was. A lot of people were asking me if it was supposed to be like a Souls game, Dark Souls, just because the gameplay we had gotten a lot was in beautiful areas, but there wasn't a lot of exploration up until, the last month or so. We got that video that you had talked about before, Nick. And so a lot of people thought it was a lot more contained. We got it, and it's like, this is like the Breath of the Wild for PlayStation, post Horizon Zero Dawn.
Well, and they also did a bad job of explaining how long the game is, too.
It's so long.
Because they said 20 to 30 hours, 30 to 35 if you want to do everything, which No,
No.
absolutely not. I am over 35 hours, and I'm not done with the game. Saying that, I'm also, like you said, exploring this beautiful
Taking it in.
world and taking it in. I'm instead of actually like finding and clicking on the missions that I have and riding there and seeing what I find along the way. I'm not doing that. I'm not opening up my map. I'm just riding and I'm finding shit in the world, and that's the first time I've actually ever done that in a game. Is Ghost of Tsushima.
I think to this effect, that's also the most effort I've put into exploring.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really bad OCD problem with showing me the map of a video game. This happened with Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah,
if it lets you explore and it shows like a little blip, I'm gonna go to that before I do any story-related content. And so I'm definitely having that issue where like I'll go somewhere, 3 question marks pop up as I was heading towards the waypoint. I'm like, shit, here I go.
Yeah,
So,
try playing Borderlands with you because like
Oh,
you
I'm
could
the
go
worst.
through the missions and it's like a little corner, and if Jesse has to go clear back to the beginning of the level, it's like, all right, man, well just let me know when you get back.
Yep, I have that same issue with Borderlands and games like that. Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm.
That map was always in like kind of like the opaque view, and I would have to go to every corner.
Nah. Your boy's like, can I fast travel and get there soon? Oh, triangle. Get me to the place closest to the next thing.
Yeah,
and then I'm gonna beeline it, and then. But I did. I mean, as I told you guys before, I platinumed this game. I did everything you can do in this game.
Chris?
Yeah.
How mad would the 3 of us be if we saw your map right now?
It's so open, you could just see everything.
Well,
Oh, okay.
well, that's the thing. When you completely liberate an area, if you platinum it,
Oh, yeah, no.
then it actually shows everything, so it's completely clear. So
I didn't know that at all. I just did every.
you did because it shows you.
Yeah, but I would do every single thing that I could, just fast traveling around. And if you put on the
Explorer's outfit.
the traveler's attire,
Yeah, that's the right name.
Traveler's attire.
it
Yes.
kind of gives you hints. So instead of just being like, oh, it's a ways that way, I'd be like, all right, it looks like it's kind of pointing towards this area, and I would go there first.
Well, the traveler's attire only points towards artifacts and records. It doesn't actually point towards other things out in the world.
When you have it equipped, you can actually go to your map and select other things for the wind to take you to that only come up when it's.
Oh, yes, you're right.
But you're
Good
right.
point.
It only
Yes.
vibrates.
Yes,
towards
good
the
point.
artifact.
Yeah.
Yep, you sure can.
It will also actually vibrate. I'm pretty sure towards objectives if you're in like because I think it vibrated towards banners, but I don't know if it counts banners as artifacts.
it does.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Speaking of those of fast traveling, that loading time, real fucking quick.
wow.
I'm on a slim, and it's still. I have not had a chance to read an entire info blub on Skyrim. I'd be like 10 deep before that thing loaded.
It's super.
It's insane how
Yeah.
fast it is. It's stupid.
It's super interesting because they even talked about how there was an article that came out that talked about they had to slow it down on purpose.
It's ridiculous.
So you could read a tip, but it's still not that slow. It's still immediate.
So for all you haters of load screens, this is the game for you because they're like split second fast.
Yeah, think of where we were with GTA 5 when that came out.
Jesus.
And look at where we're at now. I mean, GTA 5 would take like 15 minutes just to load in, and then if you were fast traveling, I mean, you're looking at least 5 minutes on a load screen, and it's really cool to see like the fruit of their labor. People that started at the beginning of the console cycle, and then like they got the head start where they're at now. At the end, seeing where you're really pushing the infrastructure of that console, so it was awesome swan song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everything about the game, I bought it kind of on the fence. Like I knew I was gonna buy it, and I was like, I don't know really how good this game is gonna
I
be.
think that was a lot of us.
Yeah, but I was interested in it. What I saw from it was cool so far, so I was like, oh, I'll get it day one. I'll play it. And first time I put that in and played my first hour, I was like, oh, okay, well shit, this is everything I want in a game personally. And I'm big into open world. I'm big into exploration. I'm big into story. Has a fantastic story. It was everything I wanted in the game so far.
I think what goes a long way to sell, or at least to make a video game the next level, is theming. And the theming across every aspect of the game is really strong. They could have given you a standard waypoint or, a generic yellow line that gets you to where you need to go. But they chose the wind to guide you as, the spirits of Japan, leading you towards your next objective, or the foxes that lead
Foxen. Go ahead.
Foxen that lead you toward the shrines.
L Foxen
Okay.
over here.
No,
Elf,
it's
Foxen, Dachshund.
It's the plural of foxes, just like oxes. Foxen.
And I think the theming is really apparent when you stack it next to an Assassin's Creed game, which I love Assassin's Creed, but you play Origins, Odyssey, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, and they take the Assassin's Creed model and they just drop it into whatever time frame they're in, right? So you're still going to shops and buying stuff, and you're still upgrading swords the same way you did, and they've added in stuff along the way, but it wasn't themed towards
Right.
the
Egyptian culture.
Right.
Or, yeah.
like you're still using
Or the Greek
swords
culture,
and
right,
spears
yeah.
and air bows and stuff like that. This game, right, the wind takes you there, or you do haikus, and it's just different. It makes so much sense, and I love a game that it's not I upgrade my sword. It's not I have +5 to melee. It's I upgrade my sword and it says I kill people faster. Like it just seems so much more grounded and natural to get those upgrades than some of the other games we've seen in that same genre.
I would like to see everybody's haikus
Oh,
together
me too.
to see how different we all are. I think
Explain haikus real quick in the game.
in the game you will find these areas where there's like a beautiful vista or a really really pretty waterfall for fuck's sake, I can't think of the word I'm trying to. But
So you can meditate.
It's like a place to
So,
reflect.
yeah, it's
you
a
go
place
there
to
to
reflect
reflect.
or meditate. Yeah.
well, because you also reflect in the reflecting pools or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
But you
the
go
hot springs?
Yeah, the hot springs. You go there and you compose a haiku and you look around. You're facing a certain way and you kind of look around the area and there's little circles, 3 circles per area that you look at, and you pick different 5-syllable, 7-syllable, and 5-syllable sentences, or whatever you want to call it.
And that's what a haiku is. It's a poem. First sentence 5 syllables. Second sentence 7. Last 5. So yeah.
And it's interesting. I actually, because of this game, I watched several modern people talk about samurais and what they did, and it's not crazy to know that to think that a samurai would know how to play the flute, because they would be part of that higher society where they would play instruments. That's something they would get good at. They would compose poetry because they were supposed to be,
They were supposed to be honorable people that
Yeah.
can introspectively look at, what should a person aspire to be. Absolutely.
it's like the complete they were kind of like, a lot of them were kind of, they started off with families and then it became like a position where you would be like a police officer even.
Yeah.
And it's a stark contrast to I don't know a bunch of police officers composing haikus today. I'll just go there.
And also, I as well, my YouTube was like, hey, here's some videos about samurai. And they literally, when they were old enough to start walking is when they started practicing sword work. And then by the time they were like 6, they were using real blades already. So, it's not unrealistic that a samurai would be that much better in a fight than people that just used whatever they could as they invaded and kept moving forward. So it's, there's unrealistic stuff happening, but I think it was super ballsy for an American studio to make a feudal Japanese game for one of the biggest, most culturally relevant Japanese studios in the world and pull it off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just, oh, sorry.
No, go.
Did you see what the writer of Yakuza
Yeah, he
said?
was like, we should have made that game.
Yeah,
He's
Japan
like,
should have made that game.
How well that was, he's like, we should have made that.
Yeah, Japan, we should have made that game. I can't believe we missed out on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for those that don't really know what this game's about, I mean, essentially the Mongol Empire has invaded Japan, and you are tasked with taking it back. So, it's got sword play, it's got stealth play, it's got numerous ways to actually play, I would say.
It's one of those games where, it's kind of like Horizon, honestly. There's probably going to be a lot of comparisons to Horizon, just
Absolutely.
same vein. But you're like, okay, cool, so I'm probably going to be using my sword a lot. And then it's like, okay, you got the bow. Okay, I'll probably be using that a lot. I'm 35 hours in and still unlocking new ways to kill people and take them out or to sneak around.
Yep.
And so you get to a fight and you're just kind of like giddy. You're like, what tools do I want to use now to completely dissect these people?
Yeah.
I'm terrible because I completely forget about all that other shit, and I just walk up and I'm like, stand off, let's go, bitches. Every time I'm like, I should go around and like look around, and then it gives me the option stand off, and I just hit that D-pad up like, let's fucking go.
So
I love the standoff.
Yeah, the standoff is awesome. The standoff in the game is you're walking up to Mongols, and you can press up on the D-pad, and you do basically a like a classic Western standoff, but it's of course samurai and Mongol. So the person who makes the first move, will usually lose in those situations because samurai, they're always about waiting and being patient and then seeing what their opponent's going to do. So the Mongols will, in the beginning, they will kind of, they'll just attack you, but then you release your triangle button and you kill them. As you upgrade, you can take out more people during the standoff, but the standoffs also get harder.
They do get harder.
They start flinching at you and
Dude,
stuff.
the third,
Multiple times.
This isn't a spoiler for the game or anything, but when you get to the third area of the game, they not only juke you out, but they will juke you out once, possibly twice, possibly 3 times, or never, or just twice the next time. Like, they randomize it, and not only that, but they're faster. So getting the standoffs, completing them correctly, it's kind of tough sometimes. You're like, oh, fuck, I didn't think he was going to attack me that time.
Especially a certain enemy type that starts showing up in the second island gets real difficult to read.
Yep.
And I think that was something else, just another surprise enemy type. So I spent a lot of time absorbing the first area, kind of like, Nick, 30, 35 hours in that first area. Wow. I started to really get used to the enemies there. And so I was like, okay, I've unlocked my 4th stance. I understand these are going to be the enemies I'm fighting. So I just kind of accepted that fact because that's kind of how I had felt with a lot of the games we had gotten recently, was just to accept everything they got. You go to that second area, there's like 2-3 new enemy types all of a sudden, and there's dudes like flinging fire at you, and I was just like, oh my god, and I was so excited that it kind of got hard again. I had to learn new enemy patterns.
The controls are super smooth. So there's stances in the game that make it easier to fight certain enemy types, and you can switch those on the fly.
Yep.
You're striking a guy with the shield, you switch to the water stance, and then out of nowhere someone comes in with the spear, you switch to the wind stance.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
it's the
Yeah.
wind.
So it's very fluid, and I really like the kind of puzzle it's creating for you when you're fighting enemies.
Question. Favorite stance?
Moon. No, not Moon.
Moon is what you take out the big dudes with.
Yeah. The wind
Sword and
stance.
shield?
No. Spear, because that's
okay.
that's the Mugen stance.
Yes.
Because he throws the kick.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Out of the 3 I have so far, probably the water stance.
Which
Water
one's
stance
the
really
water?
cool.
What's that in
The shield.
Sword shield.
I love that stance
Stone-
because you
Yeah.
can use that on the dudes that just have swords, and they're
Yeah.
still like, oh
People
god.
listening like,
Stone,
it's so
water, wind, moon.
Water, air, dirt. How's it work?
Favorite stance.
Probably water.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably water.
Water.
Especially when you get the ability to like hold down the triangle button and then just.
Oh, dude, it's just.
And
yeah.
you just keep tapping it and you just fuck those
They're
guys.
swinging
face up.
their arms in the air like
Yeah.
sword in case you want.
Well, that's why I started doing the really bad sound effects. Like,
Pro tip. 2 pro tips. First pro
I have
tip:
a pro tip.
if you're still if you're still early on in the game,
Buy a PS4 Pro.
I found this out later than I should have when I was playing. But when you're doing camps, the whole way you progress your stances is by taking out leaders. Well, you can get 2 progression slots out of a stance if you observe the leader first. So once you know that's something you can do, you'll find like that they set up the areas for you to be able to sneak up next to the leader and watch him, and then kill them, and you'll get 2 on that. Second pro tip is I would go all the way down and unlock everything in the stone stance, because you'll still be fighting sword people more than anything, and being able to do the heavy attack at normal attack speed is insane.
yeah, I remember when you told me that because I was like, what? I didn't know you could fucking do that because the game doesn't tell you.
No, game doesn't tell you a lot.
Yeah,
It was a bonus objective for me, so I was like, oh, okay.
right. Yeah, it kind of tells you because it does say kill or observe. Right,
And that's about as far as it goes.
and that's
Yeah.
as far as it goes. There's not an actual mission where it teaches you how to observe the leader.
No.
So when he told me that, I was like, okay, I got to try that out. And sure enough, you hold down L2, right? Or R2, and you just watch him, and then you're like, oh, okay, cool. It loads up a little portion of your bar, and then when you go and kill him, it does another one.
Yeah, it cuts in half.
Yeah, it cuts in half.
What's your favorite way to kill people? Besides the standoff, I guess. Like, do you just like to go with sword and shield, Chris? Or do you are there certain items you like to use?
I will go in with a sword against everybody.
So you samurai it up then?
Oh yeah. I don't even I forget I have a bow.
You forget you have tools?
Until I see,
A big armored guy come out?
No, until I see like wild animals in the wild. Then I'm like,
yeah.
I have a bow. But when I go into those areas,
Mhm.
not even the archers, I will climb up that tall
Really?
thing and be like, and then use that stance where you just
Kick him off. You kick him off the fucking ledge. I love doing that.
That's a good trophy,
Have
too.
you guys kicked him into the water yet?
Yeah, I got the trophy.
Oh, I love that.
What's your favorite way to kill people, Nick?
I'm a ghost.
You're a ghost?
I'm a ghost, and
What's your favorite ghost tool?
I've gotten so used to fuck it, I don't care. I've gotten to the point where I've gotten so good at taking out camps as a ghost, like climbing on top of stuff and taking out multiple enemies. As you progress your skill set in that area, is super fun. But I think my favorite tool is for ghost kunai.
Yeah.
Kunai, especially early in the game.
If you upgrade those early in the game,
Oh
you don't
my
even
God.
need a sword
Yeah,
anymore.
it's fucking crazy. But the kunai, and the reason for that, especially earlier in the game, is because you're like Spider-Man, like you're like
sorry,
flinging webs
I'm
everywhere.
just flailing my arms everywhere, throwing kunai.
You get a kunai.
You get a kunai.
Check under your seat. That's a kunai.
Because earlier in the game, you'll have 3 people around a fire, but you can only take one person out at a time, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I'll just throw a kunai on them, take 2 of them out, and kill the third guy, and it just made it a lot easier. So
Or you run into
probably
the
that
water.
when it comes to Ghost.
What about you, Jesse? Favorite way to kill people?
Can I give my long answer to this?
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
You've got 22 minutes.
Okay, great. No, I'm just joking. I really struggle with this because I don't normally have an issue with morality in video games. I chose the Renegade storyline through Mass Effect and no issues.
You mean the jerk?
The jerk, yeah. But I did a mission, I won't spoil it, but someone loses their family, and it kind of hit really hard. I was like, oh, this is sad. And then I was doing more ghost-type killing, and you get like a flashback to when you're young, and he says, is this really the way of the samurai? And I've spent so much time now reflecting and looking at what's honorable.
Sitting around in pools, thinking about your uncle.
Yeah. I felt
That
bad.
sounds really weird.
It does.
We'll explain.
I felt bad, honestly,
Yeah.
doing the ninja way, so to speak, but I really like it. So it's really difficult for me to say how. I kind of am half and half. I do really like the standoffs, but I love stealth games, and it's usually stealthy until I get caught, and then everybody dies.
Right, of
But
course. Yes.
I walk up playing the flute.
Come find me.
You can
I
play a
am the-
flute in the game. You can play a flute in the game.
I'm
Yeah.
the Pied Piper of Death.
That's I never even thought of that. That's
Yeah.
fucking genius.
Yeah.
By playing the flute, you can unlock different ones, and you can change what the weather does.
Yes.
So if you wanna walk up to these fuckers and play a song,
On
and all
your
of a sudden
horse?
on your horse, and all of a sudden it starts raining and storming and everything, because it's the oncoming fucking storm,
Yeah.
baby. Like
And
you're all about to die.
I'm somewhere in the middle as far as how I like to kill people. I think of myself as like a very opportunistic, non-honorable samurai, because I'll sneak around a little bit, but it's not my favorite thing to do. I'll do like the standoff or whatever. But if I see a group of guys lumped together, the only thing I use my longbow for is the explosion arrow.
I
So
love those things.
if I see a group together, I'm like, well, okay, well here's 3 of those for you guys, and then anyone left, I might roll in, throw a kunai, and then I'll take him out with the sword. But as far as like firecrackers or any of the distraction stuff, I don't use that too much. And as soon as I got my last dance, I didn't really sneak around too much.
I guess to answer your question, I really enjoy are they flashbangs or explosive bombs? Is that what they are?
Which ones? The
The-
ones that
The second like ghost upgrade you get.
the
after
black powder
Black
bomb.
powder
Yes.
bomb.
I actually really enjoy those because it basically stuns like 3 or 4 enemies. at a
Or
time.
Yeah.
the sticky bomb.
No.
I
he-
like that one too.
He
but-
means the one that knocks
black
them
powder
back.
bomb.
the black
Okay,
powder
okay,
bomb.
okay.
And then you just go in and you can usually take people out in a couple.
Do you
swipes.
guys use the charm that gives you 20% extra ghost damage?
Yes.
So yeah, that with the black powder bomb just murders people, and then when you get the sticky bomb, that's specifically for the, oh, you're too armored for me to care. So I'm just like, hey, bro, hold that, and then they blow up.
What do you think your boy's using? I'm using a charm. I'm also using the. I'm using that charm, and I'm also using fucking ghost armor.
Yeah.
And it's not even fair. It's not fair. So
Listen, I've been observing you guys for a while. You all three have no honor.
that's
You
fine.
walk in the cut.
I have conflicted honor.
Yeah, I saw you. You see that cutscene the first time you do.
Oh, dude,
when the
I
game
felt it.
forces you to do it.
Yeah.
and I was like,
I did it on my own.
you didn't. The first guy you're supposed to.
No, you do have to do that. There's
Yeah,
a second cutscene.
There is a second. There's actually
I-
a third cutscene.
I've seen them all
Oh, when you...
because
Yep.
the game keeps forcing you to do this, and I'm like, I'm trying to have as much honor as possible. I don't want to disappoint my uncle, and my uncle keeps talking to me in these flashbacks, and I feel really guilty.
So
I will not ghost kill anyone unless the game makes me.
So there's a certain there. I agree with you, Jesse. To piggyback off what you said, when I saw that, I kind of felt like that too. I was like, do I?
But then you're like, I upgraded all these
Right,
abilities.
and then well that, but there's some shit that happens in the game where I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
I've spent so much time being a dirty cunt. I can't stop now.
And just to lay the groundwork for you, there's the Mongol invasion that happens on the island of Tsushima, and it is Kublai's cousin who is the grandchild of Genghis Khan.
Yep.
And he captures your uncle, and so you are tasked at the beginning of the game of trying to save your uncle, and you are all by yourself. You're you and your uncle are the last surviving samurai that you know of from this battle on the beach, and that's just kind of where the game takes you from there. And it's about the people you meet along the way and the Mongols that you eviscerate.
Yep. Yeah, and let me tell you, the attention to detail in this game is staggering.
You guys play in high contrast mode or normal?
Normal.
Oh man, it's like I'm like in a fantasy realm.
You're high contrast?
mode.
Yes.
It's a little too much for me on my TV.
Yeah.
I'm in high contrast, and it's crazy. It's like you said, it's a fantasy world, but it's
What's your
beautiful.
guys' favorite outfit? Chris, what's your favorite outfit?
Oh, I can't tell you.
Okay. Yes, you can.
Can I?
Uh,
Because I feel like
Wait.
there's spoilers and stuff like that.
There's one.
Okay.
I'm lowest as far as progress, so I will say the legendary one you get for the bow is my favorite so far.
yeah.
Oh, really?
That one's fine.
Mhm.
The silly hat one.
The silly
I
hat.
love the silly
yeah.
hats.
Okay.
Clearly.
So is it a samurai armor or
Yeah.
is it it's a samurai armor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
What's
okay.
your favorite?
It's probably. Oof. It's either
What- by yours,
it's
Nick?
also Kensai or Kensei or whatever it is, Kensai,
You mean the Amazon locker at work?
called the Kensai, or the Sakai armor.
I think the Sakai family armor one is my favorite.
Well, that's
Um,
the same thing. I just didn't know if we were talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
for
fine.
sure. Where you get the antlers.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
Sakai.
So-
But I do the one before that where you don't have the antlers because he looks cool with the mask on.
So
it's a whole thing.
I do the half mask, the antler one, and then I do the I do the second version of the armor. And so, do you guys, follow-up question, do you guys switch your armor out real quick depending upon
Yes.
what you're doing?
Yes.
Right now, I'm actually rocking the traveler's attire because
Yes.
I'm trying to fill out the map as much as possible.
So what I was doing early on was traveler's attire. Okay, and then there's guys right there. Let me switch into my I'll switch into my Ronin armor because I had the most stealth aspect. And then it's like when shit popped off, okay, then I switch into my samurai armor. So it's like I wish there was like a quick select kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Hold on, 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can fight.
Let me get off. Let me get.
I would
this
do
off
that
my
on
first-
standoffs. I would forget that I was in my traveler's
can
attire.
pause during
and you could
standoffs.
pause during a standoff.
Oh my God.
Switch to my Sakai armor, and my defense would go through the roof.
Send out your best fighter. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, the Mongol's like, is he really gonna do this? Like,
But I did that all the time.
Photo mode?
Oh,
amazing. The best photo mode of any game.
Yes.
And I've used photo mode a lot.
yeah.
It's so much more than a photo mode. It's like moment simulator, like Japanese edition. You can just set up scenarios inside of it.
Mhm.
Whether it's amazing. What's your guys' favorite filter or favorite filter that you use on your photos?
It depends on where I'm at. If there is multiple crazy colors around me, I usually go with vivid because
Yeah.
it just pops, right? If I'm in, if I'm in one of the, I've taken a couple of these, and maybe I should post them. But in the forest where all the leaves are red, I'll do the maple because
That's
it's
a
black
good
and
one.
white, but all the red shines through.
Yes.
And then I'll have red stuff on my armor and stuff, so that pops out. That's fucking dope looking.
What about you, Chris? You take a lot of photos?
I took like 4. when there was a pile of burning bodies. I was like, this is my moment. And then I, of course, made the weather really crappy, and then had the fire embers that you can make flowing around the level, and then I stood in front of the fire with this, like, with the sword above your head, and I was like,
okay, we'll have Chris, we'll get that photo and we'll post it on the
for
Facebook.
sure.
Yeah.
Jesse, what about you?
I don't know if I have a favorite filter, but I love the ability to manipulate the wind and to see his cape flow.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite things.
Mine, I think, is the maple too, because it just draws out the colors I want. And it's very rare that I keep the filter on full blast. I'm definitely the one that's like, okay, here's my exposure, here's my color this way, and then I'm like, time of day.
So saying that, yes, it is, the photo mode is that crazy specific and in-depth. You can choose the different types of particles. You can choose anywhere from leaves to crows to fireflies, just going out and like as an effect. And then you can put them up really high or put them down really low.
Yes.
You can choose the direction of the wind, how fast the wind is.
Jin's expressions.
Jin's expressions, if he's wearing his hat, if he's... all that kind of stuff. And then you can even put a stamp on it. And it's crazy.
And I don't, like... I'm also the guy that I will do one with or without the banner, so I can choose which one I like best later, because I know one of these will end up as my PS4 background photo.
Yes.
Oh, one already has
photo.
been for mine.
Yeah. And just like Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man had a great photo mode, but this one's just better. It's the best photo
one.
mode I've ever had. And I don't know if people, like, I know it sounds silly, maybe to some people, to talk about that, but I don't think you understand how powerful and how optimized your system or the game you're making has to be to do that in real time.
In a split second.
In a split second, and then go back into the game.
I'm just extremely happy to have a game where when you go into an area, you're not like, there's going to be some high def graphics here eventually. Just wait for that. Whenever you travel anywhere in that game, you start, everything looks perfect.
Yes.
Instead of, like, for instance, I'm just going to pull this out of nowhere, a game some of you might have, Call of Duty. You land on the ground and you're like, this building's gonna look really good here in like 2015. Okay, there we go. Now I can go in this house.
So speaking of weather, I posted this in our group today, which makes a lot of sense. Been running around lately in the game, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, it is storming all the time. And now I can play my flute and I can make it nicer out and everything like that in the game, but I was just like, why is it so like all the time? It never stops. Well, they just, there's an article that just came out recently that actually states, depending on how you're playing the game, depends on how the weather changes. So me, like I said before, I love playing the Ghost, right? And it's quote-unquote dishonorable to the Samurai. So in my game, it is storming more often. So the weather is literally interacting off of the way I play the game.
I had so much honor it never rained. Unless I played the film.
He was like a Sunny D bottle walking around.
to be honest with you, like I played a game that had honor and all that stuff. I played the first Fable, and when I started playing the very first Fable, I was like, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna kill everything and everyone, and I finished the game with gold armor, butterflies flying around my head,
halo.
Because for some reason in games, I have way more honor than I mean to.
Well, I think
than you do in real life.
Yes, of course.
I think what's different about this morality system is it's not like a decision you're making, for the story. It's your gameplay style, your wants and on how to play the game.
And I suck at stealth, so everyone gets to see my face before they die.
So it's just very interesting that is how it's equating your morality.
I will get pissed off because sometimes you run up to a group of guys and the bar is filling of them realizing who you are. You're right in their face, and you're like, "Let's fight!" And you hit square, and you assassinate. I'm like, "No! I want to run that back. I want you to see me and be ready for me to kill you."
Have a Prince of Persia rewind button, so you can
Dude,
just like,
real.
Didn't mean that.
And I'm a kind of a hokey guy. I'm kind of a cheesy guy. I can get connected to people in shows and in movies pretty easily. When it comes to video games, that doesn't seem to happen to me very much, though. I can be compelled by stories, but I don't always feel like I care to the utmost importance. But for some reason with Jin, and I don't know what it is, or maybe it's just my love of feudal Japan and samurai, growing up with that. But I really feel for him and what's happening to the people, and it's just because they laid the groundwork so early to give you a purpose for playing him, and I think it's done very natural. And it's not surprising. This studio, they do, it's Sucker Punch. They do Infamous, which is all about morality. I think this is the best version of morality I've seen in a while.
I agree.
I mean, it's so natural, and it doesn't make you choose, and it doesn't let you know how you're doing. Just like you can't just pull up a menu and be like, oh, I'm chaotic good, or I'm unlawful whatever.
Well,
It showed you along the way the repercussion of your actions.
Yeah, I think the worst thing about that is when you're playing a certain way, and maybe you're not playing as an evil character, but then you make a choice that doesn't line up with how you're playing, and this doesn't do that to you. It's just you are doing this. It's making your character like this now. It's making the world reflect your actions.
Right. And not to spoil too much, but it doesn't take too awfully long into the game, depending on how much you hit on the side stuff, to find out what your actions are doing. And there's people around you that are directly impacted by the decisions you're making, and the options presented to you to correct your path, which I think is super cool, because usually it's just like, okay, you did this at the end, this many people died, or this happened because you played that way. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still kind of wrapped up in like the whole like amount of detail, because I finally got to read a whole tip today. I was playing today before I came over, and I got to read a whole tip. And there's deer in the game, right?
Yes.
Right. And never do you once have anything to do with deer.
Don't touch them.
Don't touch them. And I finally read a tip, and they're like, oh, deer were considered sacred.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, that's why they're just in the world and you never fuck with them. There's nothing ever that they're like, hey, you need to kill deer to upgrade this thing. It's always bear or like
bears.
the dogs or the
dogs.
boars.
Can I bring up a point that I thought of while we were talking about this?
Sure.
I'm tired of killing dogs in
me
video
too,
games.
dude.
I'm so over it. I
Me
love
too.
Those are the
The
dogs.
big poofy dogs.
They're big poofy dogs. They're the ancient. I don't want to kill them.
They're kind of like
Ancient
chows, aren't they, or
poofs?
something?
Yeah.
Ancient poofs.
I think they're modeled off of the really huge dog breed. It's
The like Tibetan...
Yes.
Tibetan Mastiff.
Yeah.
I don't want to kill that dog.
Yeah, I had enough of that in Last of Us 2.
Dude, that sucked.
I hated it every time I had to
Let's
do it.
make a riot to end dog
And-
killing in video games.
Let's cancel this. Cancel all games with dog killing.
Let's make a verbal riot
Yeah,
to,
let's write a strongly worded letter
to our Congress that listen to what we have to say.
Oh,
do it.
You know what's great about the HUD with this game? There isn't one.
there isn't one.
You're
Yes,
exploring.
it's so good.
And I didn't realize that until I was playing that, and then recently the remake of Destroy All Humans came out, and I was playing that, and then I didn't notice it either when I started playing that, but that bitch is full of stuff, and then I went back to Ghost, and I was like, damn, this thing is clear. There's not a goddamn thing until it needs to be. And I get annoyed sometimes, especially with like Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I was like, can I just see the fucking screen, please? And then to see this, it's just, it's so good.
Someone mentioned that earlier about the how the game works when it comes to the flow of things. How you said the wind and everything taking you everything, and you can look at the map, but there's no HUD to point you in the direction. Like there's not a compass at the top of your screen
Right.
to say
And
you're
you don't
going,
need it.
and you don't need it. And it's just you're following the wind. You're literally following the wind, or animals, or songbirds. Like when I first started playing the
You
game,
just listen, you're like,
when I first started playing the game and I saw songbirds, I was like, I wonder if I have to like maybe take those out later for upgrades on my stuff. And then
I have to shoot.
You're such a ghost.
yeah, I know. And then I realized I saw the tip and I was like, oh, those little bitches are here to help me. All right, let's
Nature helps
yeah,
you.
nature helps you in
Except
this game,
bears.
which is great.
Bears throw you around. It's pretty
You can
Bears
shoot the
kill
lock.
enemies.
Yeah, you can shoot the lock off of caged bears, and
Yeah.
they will fuck people up. It's awesome.
The bees will fuck people up too,
Yeah,
and you
it's always the
can lead them
bees.
to that.
Yep.
The bees! They're in my eyes.
not the bees.
I think they're horny.
Don't ever watch.
I'm not
Was that
trying-
Wicker Man?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, definitely watch.
Don't
the
watch
Wicker Man.
the remake of Wicker Man.
Oh,
Watch
yes.
the remake because that's the classic. I mean, you wouldn't have this scene without it.
So,
That's true. It is memed.
quickly, is there anything that you didn't get from the game so far? I mean, Chris, you've beat
that
it.
I don't like.
Or yes, maybe something you didn't like or something you felt like you didn't get that you're expecting. Non-spoiler or non-story stuff.
Non-story, non-spoiler. I don't like that the game forces you in some points to do things that don't align with your morality.
Often or not often,
Not often.
but you
But
wish
there
it
are
was just
I
as
would-
open as it tried to be.
I wish that I could be like, no, because that's not honorable, and
Well,
I have honor.
But I think that's the point. I think it has you do that because you're put into this situation where you never thought you'd be put in. So you do it, and you're like, ugh. okay, no, I don't want to do that. Like,
and to be fair, you are bad at it the first time.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, I get where you're coming from, but
I
at
do
the same
too.
time,
I do too.
I think his character in the game for story elements needed to experience that to understand, okay, wait, no, I don't want to do this. If
Right.
that's the way you're playing.
But it keeps there's a few different times where you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, but I don't want to. I don't want to do this bad thing. And he's like, no, I've got to do it for my people. And I'm like, no, be honorable. And he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, okay,
Nick,
I
what
don't
about you?
agree.
Something that either you wish you had gotten or something that you didn't think was done very well.
This is a very hard question because there is not a lot.
I know, bud. I know.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So they've already patched it, but in the beginning, at the very beginning, day one, I noticed that there was a couple of buggy things when it came to animations.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Mouth work,
too, but if you got hit off your horse, like if your horse got hit and you got thrown off, there was an animation of you getting up where you couldn't do anything, and they could still attack you and kill you. That pissed me off, and to this day, some of the
Some of the people.
no, some of the branch to branch when you're doing something.
Uh-huh.
If you even so slightly go left or right and you you swing off of the branch.
Oh, I'm going to bring some of that stuff up too, so go
yeah,
ahead.
you swing off the branch from the grappling hook. If you're not exactly
Jesse's
on
like, grappling hook.
if
I
you-
kind of figured.
Okay, if you're not exactly where you need to be, you'll fly off to the right and you can't go back.
Never the left, only the right.
Jesse,
Minor,
with your 5 hours in.
minor things. I'm further than that.
I know.
I don't like how little of the map actually gets exposed when you're exploring. Even with the travelers, even with that, it's
you
not
haven't
enough.
upgraded all the
You
way?
haven't upgraded all the way.
I have it at least up to 3 points. It's not enough.
The last
So after several hours, great, okay. And then I do feel like graphically, it's not as impressive as the last PS4 like mainstay title. I think the environments look pretty good, but people I still feel could look better. Last of Us 2, the people looked.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and that's
hear
just
ya.
just a dream for me.
I hear you.
If the graphics looked a little better, it'd be truly amazing.
Sure. Mine would be the grappling hook. I think it feels like it didn't get nearly as much time as other aspects of the game, and I thought a studio that came from doing a lot of parkour and verticality with Sly Cooper and with Infamous would have implemented something like that a little bit better. But it's literally, if you can do it, you push R2 and it just instantaneously connects to whatever it's doing. And then you just kind of like old school, like PS2 style, like swing to something.
Mhm.
And so it feels, that pulls me out of the immersion, honestly. And I'm really glad it's not a bigger piece of the game than it is. I thought it was going to consume the game. And I was like, oh no, they're going to make it hokey and I don't want it to be. So that's my one complaint.
Yeah.
So far.
Cool. Yep. I mean, okay, real quick. Favorite aspect of the game, not part of the game because I know not all of us are all the way through it. So what's the favorite aspect, whether it's graphics or controls or we said what we're complaining about. What's our favorite?
I think my favorite thing is the immersion that it brings between the way that the HUD is done and the natural ways to direct you to your different missions and objectives.
Yep.
I would say my favorite thing to do is the actual, not the standoffs where you just go to an area and stand, but the
Yeah.
actual like boss fight areas.
Yeah.
Where
The
it's
duels?
you versus
We didn't even
the
talk
duels.
about those.
You versus another dude, and it's not some crazy huge guy with 6 arms and 3 heads. It's like you and this person are battling to the death. Let's fucking go.
And you figure out their style while you're fighting them.
Yes.
Yes.
And you learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
Or like me, you just fucking hammer on the triangle and circle and get their health down enough, and then you hit R1 and L1,
Yes.
and then you finish them real quick, and you're like, I learned nothing. Okay.
Yes. It's got to be the gameplay, the battle, the system, battle system of it all.
Just the combat system
The
in
combat
general.
system in general
It's
is
very good.
That was a close second for me.
Yes,
Me too.
And honestly, I think what Dakota said is my first, but I didn't want to take it. But yes, the ability to be able to take out anybody almost any way you can think of with multiple different weapons, multiple different abilities to either jump on them from high places, come up from behind them, sneak up from behind them, stand
Crawl
off with
spaces?
them, crawl spaces.
Didn't even talk on that.
Killing them through.
Can you assassinate
Doors.
from a crawl space?
No.
No, but you can.
I was like, what?
In
No.
real life, you can.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Killing them through the doors and shit, like
Yeah.
all of the combat system, everything about battling, that is great, and it's very fluid. It feels fantastic.
That's what she said.
For me, which is kind of weird, it's the music, and we didn't talk about this at all either. But it just feels exactly like a old samurai movie, and the music takes me right back to it. And then along with the cinematography of the game and the combat, I would say those two things.
Absolutely, and there's so much more we could have talked about. That I mean, this is a very big game. People are going to be playing this for a while.
Yeah, much longer than we thought.
And if you haven't noticed, we're all huge fans. This is one of my favorite games to come out this generation. I have to beat it, but man, this is high up on my list.
This is potential game of the year for me so far. Of course,
Yep.
we still have Cyberpunk looming over us, but so far, we'll see how it ends. But my potential game of the year.
Yeah, it's getting there because I'm a Final Fantasy VII dork. I love it, and Last of Us 2 was phenomenal in my opinion, but man, this game is real good.
My favorite samurai game for sure. Yeah,
Wow,
I said
I'm gonna
it.
tell Bushido Blade.
Bushido Blade,
yeah.
PlayStation 1. All right, guys, this is our first impressions, or our general opinions of Ghost of Tsushima. Be prepared. We'll probably talk about it again some point when
Forever.
we all beat the game. Yeah, we'll probably be like, well, it's no Ghost of Tsushima, but... so thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week, all right?
Peace.
Digital Bath Podcast signing out.